Welcome back, guys. I have brought back the series that you have all requested for, Football Rambling, where you join me, BucketHatSam, on my walks through the lovely fields and we talk everything football. We'll be talking everything that's just gone on from the weekend, the big talking points. We're going to be talking Serie A title race. Going to be answering your questions that you guys have sent in, and I'll be giving you all a shout out, whoever sent in a question. Yes, I'm not going to answer every single one that was sent in because I appreciate now we've grown quite massive. Let's be honest, we are becoming a huge community and I love you all. That's why I brought back this series, and because I can walk in the sun. I reply to every single comment, so please comment down below, smash the like button, please do subscribe. And yeah, as we're going forward, we're going to kind of bring this back because it's a really good way of connecting with you guys, and it's kind of a bit more of an unfiltered version of me where I don't have to edit everything. I can just talk. If I trip up when I walk past the dog, I might say, hello there, doggy, whatever, who knows. But we're going to go straight into it. I want to start off with the talking point that a lot of people have been discussing from the weekend. I want to talk about Nottingham Forest owner. Now, it's really interesting to see how this kind of really split absolutely every football fan at the minute. Everyone's talking about it, and it's kind of one thing I do want to say, as I do feel like it's taken away a little bit from Nottingham Forest's achievement. They finished 17th last year and they've got European football, which is absolutely huge. Like, I absolutely love what Forest have done. Yes, I do think, I don't know how it sits right with me, the fact that they broke PSR rulings. They were fined points because what they did was against the rules, and they've kind of benefited from it. I don't know how that sits with me, but even still, it's been a great achievement, and it feels like it's taken away from that because of the owner coming on the pitch and having a go at Nuno. Now, one thing I am going to say is I'm a West Bromwich Albion fan. If you hadn't noticed already, I've got an Albion shirt on right now. But what I've always found with owners and things, yes, I know we've got a good owner now, but in the past where I've struggled with owners, and there's been a big talking point of owners don't connect with fans, they don't understand, there's no emotion behind it. So I do think, on one perspective, I think it's brilliant that the Nottingham Forest owner actively cares, and it's not just saying it, you can actually see he cares. You completely can see it. It's so transparent. He shows his emotion. He understands what it means for the club to get European football. But at the same time, it's a bit unprofessional. I don't like it on the pitch. I don't mind him doing it maybe in the tunnel, and you might see some footage, or he comes out and says, we're disappointed, but we're still happy with the achievements. I think that would have been a better way of doing it, but I don't think it's as negative as everyone's saying. It's just, yeah, it's a bad look more than anything, but I do kind of really like the passion he's showing there, the emotion, because surely as a Forest fan, you're like, this guy gets it. This guy wants us to do something. He's not in it for the money. He's in it to get Nottingham Forest back into European football. So in one sense, I love it. And in one sense, I do hate it because it's very unprofessional. And it's just a bad look on Nuno as well, because it's not a great look for the manager when he's getting told off. It's like your boss telling you off, but in front of absolutely everyone. You'd want them to take you to one side and then maybe tell everyone about it after, but do it in more of a good mannered way kind of thing, if you understand what I mean. But overall, I don't think it's as bad as everyone's suggesting. So that's my opinion on all of that. Also, if anyone noticed, go look back. When he's on the pitch, he's got an iPhone 7. Odd, isn't it? Considering the guy owns a football club, why is he doing with an iPhone 7? No, it's not that the fact that it's an iPhone. Don't get me wrong. Have a new Android. Just get a new phone, pal. Then you can record videos like this, and then you could probably speak in a better manner and things. Oh, nice bit of shade. It's currently 24 degrees, by the way. I'm absolutely loving this walk already. I've missed speaking to you guys and doing these kind of videos. I'm actually doing the exact route. This route here is the exact route I used to always do when we used to do these videos. So it kind of feels weird. I haven't been back here for quite a while, just going on my walks and things. So I drive here, go on a walk for about an hour or so and just chat with you guys. But as I say, we're bringing this back, don't you worry, because I think it's just a really good way of talking to you guys and creating a bit more of a community again. And you guys can discuss. You may not agree with me. Please discuss your thoughts on everything I talk about in this video down below, because that's what I want to see, and I will be talking back to all of you guys. But I've got a piece of paper here with some of the questions that I picked that we're going to be discussing and things. So there's kind of no order to anything. So what we're going to ask, the next question is sent in by Zach Tominski. Thank you, Zach. Who will win the Europa League? And then he put, come on, you Spurs. So I'm guessing he's hoping I say Spurs. I know he's a Tottenham fan. Shout out to you, Zach. Thank you for sending the question. And see, look, I do write your names down now, guys. This is the upgrade. Yes, I know I'm still writing them down, but it's a start. We're getting there. Now, one thing I find with the Europa League final, and I can't wait for it. I think this is probably one of my favourite Europa League finals for a while. Don't get me wrong, I talk about it all the time. I'm a big fan of the Europa League. I do feel like it's kind of looked down upon way too much. It's a great competition, and it gives you kind of an insight where we get to watch teams that we wouldn't normally or often get to watch. And that's why I'm excited to watch this fight. And kind of the added factor that, this may sound ridiculous, one team in 90 minutes, 90 minutes will dictate whether one team has their worst ever Premier League season. Premier League, by the way, because I know football existed before 1992. one of the teams will have their worst ever season since 1992, football began in the Premier League, and the other one will have a decent season. And it's mad, isn't it, that 90 minutes can decide that, which blows my mind. And the fact that it's 16th versus 17th, it's just the narrative and the storyline is absolutely incredible. Not to then mention that Amorim, it'd be hilarious if he's won 6 games since he's taken over in the league. He's won 6 games, but then he wins a competition, and it's just like, it's the Man United inevitable. And then Spurs, it'd be the whole storyline where Ange was like, I'm not going to do an impression, where, like he said, I only win in this second season, mate. Do you know what I mean? If he actually wins a trophy, it'll be huge. And then arguably, I know this might sound ridiculous, Spurs will have had a great season. They'll have achieved what they wanted to do. Going into this season, this will get one of the two sides Champions League football, which is mental in itself, because both of these sides really should be in the Champions League next season. That's where their aim should be. So one of them will achieve the objectives they set out for the start of the season. So in one sense, it'll be, if you know what I'm trying to say, it'll actually be a decent season. They'll hit a match and hit expectations regardless of where they finished. My opinion on the game, everything suggests that Spurs should win this game. Spurs, I know, have got a lot of their players back fit. Yes, I know Maddison is out, but the players earlier on in the season when they had absolutely nobody, they had 6, 7, maybe even 8 injuries at a time. Those kind of players are back. So in one sense, Spurs are looking decent. Man United also don't have too many injury problems. Spurs have beaten them, I think, 3 times this season. So everything would suggest that it's Spurs. But I do believe, for some reason, Manchester United will win. Now, this is where I feel like you guys will appreciate that there's no footballing reason as to why. Now, the reason why I believe Man United will win is because Man United are unbeaten currently in Europe. They've been on absolute steroids. They've been absolutely incredible in the Europa League, which is crazy to think considering how bad they have been in the Premier League. So in that sense, it's mental. But I just believe that they've just got that know-how. Man United every year win a trophy. Under Ten Hag, they've won the FA Cup. They won the FA Cup last year when they beat, when Kobe Mainoo scored against Man City. It's just what Man United do, if you know what I mean. And that might seem and sound ridiculous, but how many seasons now we've spoken about Manchester United having a poor season, but they still always win a trophy? That's what they do. It's ingrained into Manchester United. And I know some people may be like, what you want about Manchester United changed? Well, they haven't in one sense, because they always win trophies, and they always have done in my lifetime. So that's where I look at it. And then on the flip side, Tottenham Hotspur, I've seen in my lifetime get to cup final when it was Ryan Mason who was the gaffer in the final after they sacked Mourinho. They lost it. I saw them in the Champions League final. I just look at it and just think, when you look at the squads, regardless of form, because form goes out the window, it's a 90-minute final. I just feel like United will do it. And going into it, both sides, momentum-wise and form-wise, is horrendous. But on the European scale, Manchester United have got the better form. And I look at it and just think Manchester United are just going to do it. They've just got that know-how. They've got so many players there that have done it in finals. I can look at, from the likes of Mason Mount and players like that, I can imagine stepping up. Matthias de Ligt has got quite far in the competition. There's a lot of big game players. Anana, yes, I know his form hasn't been great. Oh, I accidentally just flicked my, there we go. Actually, not the gimbal then. Even though like somebody like Anana's a huge one. Anana who, yes, I know some people may mock him and may joke about his form and things like that, but he's been in a European final. Like, they've got a vast load of experience in this side. Martinez has played in the Champions League. Like, they've got some very big game players, and I think that will be absolutely huge for the game. I think that will play a massive part, and I feel like it's Manchester. I just feel like it's Manchester United. I don't know why, because realistically, nothing suggests that it should be. Because realistically, it's going to be a difficult game either way. But I'm buzzing for it. I think it's going to be an incredible game of football where, realistically, it's going to make somebody's season. It's crazy to think how much pressure and how much is riding on this game. I cannot wait for it, to be honest. I'm really excited for it because, as you said, I think regardless, both of them obviously have had a bad season. I think we can all say that. And I know some people will be like, oh, well, it means they've had a better season than Arsenal. It doesn't. Absolutely not. But it means they can kind of save their season. I think that might be more of a better way of putting it. One team's season can be completely saved. And but regardless, I do think Ange Postecoglou will be sacked, regardless of whether he wins the trophy or not. I can't see him being the gaffer next year. I think that, for me, is an inevitable, whether you agree with me or not on that. That's just what I see. I just can't see how he can keep the job, especially with that recent interview where he suggested that the fact that they've been on runs in all the competitions is the reason why they've really underperformed in the Premier League. Well, if they win the competition, they'll be in the Champions League, so who knows how he's going to be able to cope next season, which, yeah, there you go. That's my opinion on the Europa League final. Hopefully, I'm sorry, Zach, I know that's not what you suggest, and you'll probably come back to me if your team wins. But there you go. That's my prediction for that game. But I am very excited. The next question that came in is from Real Sen. .z, maybe real season. I don't know how you're trying to say it, so apologies if I got it wrong. Let me know how you say it next time. He sent in a couple of questions, but I'm going to answer his first one here. What's my favourite transfer of the season? Now, there's a lot of transfers that I could talk about. A lot of people may suggest, oh, maybe an Mbappe or something like that. But for me, Mbappe's kind of not helped Real Madrid. I think he's maybe made them go a step back, let's be honest, because it looks like they're going to win absolutely nothing this season. So I can't be having Mbappe in there because I just don't feel like he suits the system. I think what we've seen with a lot of things with Mbappe is whenever he moves to a club, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying he's overrated because he's an incredible footballer, but it kind of takes over. And I think that's something that doesn't get spoken about enough. I feel like that's something that needs to be spoken about. Because at least with Ronaldo, when he became the main man, he carried them still to trophies. Whereas Mbappe's come in, kind of done similar things where you can imagine he's been pushing everyone away going, that's my locker there, that's my massage table, I need to be the big dog here. And then he's not delivered. Like, he's not carried them through in games and things. I understand people go, well, he scored a hat-trick against Barcelona, but they didn't win. And I think that's the biggest thing, they're not winning with him. Yes, he's having a great season as an individual, but as a whole, that's not what you signed for. So I think he's a really weird one, because I think a lot of clubs, he can kind of be the demise of them because, whoa, that's a big bit of win. He's kind of be the demise of them because everything has to come through him. It's me. It doesn't suit club football, which might sound ridiculous, but that's my opinion on that one. Maybe Kvaratskhelia. Apologies, I really struggle with the pronunciation, but the Georgian winger has been incredible for PSG, and I've been so excited to watch him. I liked him at Napoli and things, and when he signed, when Conte went there, I didn't really think, like, it didn't really feel like it made sense, because you think of Conte of yesteryears when he's playing the 5-back system and Victor Moses at right back and things. I know obviously he doesn't always play a 5-back system, but that's the way I looked at it and just thought, it doesn't really make sense. I want to see that exciting winger. And I know he's gone to PSG, he's been absolutely incredible. The amount of times I've watched him in the Champions League, he has stood out for me massively. But the one for me that's a massive standout is João Neves. Now, João Neves is a player that if you go back to my podcast, BucketHatSam Talks About podcast, I actually predicted that as my third best transfer of the season for PSG when they signed him in the summer, and I think he's been absolutely incredible. Again, so many games where I've watched a lot of PSG. You know, I like my French football, and a lot of people mock me for that. If you remember this series, we used to speak quite a lot, because this shows you how long it's been. Pochettino's PSG manager, and Lille won the league. That's the last time I did one of these football ramblings, but he's been incredible for them this season, and I feel like he's the kind of signing and that they needed, that they upgraded. They sold Ugarte and replaced him with João Neves. Well, other way around, they bought him and then sold Ugarte, but you know what I'm trying to say. That was a direct replacement. It's a massive upgrade. He's absolutely incredible. Such an underrated footballer. A proper technically gifted ratter, and that's my favourite type of footballer, if you've heard me talk about it before. I love technically gifted footballers that have got a nasty side to them, that break up play and move it on. There aren't many footballers who can do it, because usually you don't have both. You can't be technically gifted and also have that nasty side, but he does, and he's been absolutely incredible. Huge against Liverpool, huge against Villa. There are so many games, huge against Arsenal. Like, he has been one of the main men throughout their campaign, and I kind of want them to win the Champions League, if I'm honest. I really hope they do, but it's going to be a great game regardless. So that's one of them. Who else have I written down? Elliot Anderson, yeah, probably up there as well. Marmoush has been really good. One for me, oh geez, a fly just went in my face. One for me who's been absolutely, really feels like it's gone under the radar a bit. That doesn't really get spoken about but enough. But I think Michael Olise, I think Michael Olise has been huge. And again, the wind is blowing my phone absolutely everywhere, so apologies for that. Hopefully you guys can still hear me, and I'm still okay. We're going to keep rolling though. This is what we say with this. This is why people like this series, because it's unfiltered, unedited. It's just me, you, and the camera. I'm going to go back that way because the wind seems to be just getting ridiculous that way. There we go. That's better now. I can actually hear myself then. It felt like I was going through a wind tunnel then. Jeez. Nearly lost my hat. But I was talking about Michael Olise now, because I feel like he's in the Bundesliga and Bayern, yes, they won the league. And I feel like that's gone under the radar a little bit. Company's done a great job. They went on a bit of a Champions League run. I know they did end up losing to Inter Milan, but I think Inter Milan, kind of now they've got to the final, I feel like a lot of people now are kind of giving them more respect. And maybe Vincent Kompany's job doesn't look as bad as it had done. And because, yes, they've got the Bundesliga again. I know some people go, well, it's inevitable. It's not. Bayer Leverkusen won it last year. So there was a lot of pressure on him, actually, to get this title. And they dismantled Bayer Leverkusen in the league. I know they drew with them, I think, in the second game, but they dismantled them in the first game. They won the league comfortably. They went on a bit of a Champions League run, and they battered Bayer Leverkusen in the Champions League. So I think overall, realistically, I don't think it's been too bad a season, but I think Michael Olise is one of the main men for them. I know a lot of people will talk about Harry Kane because of the goals and things, but chance creation, he's created more chances than any other player in Europe. He's been absolutely incredible. So Michael Olise is another one, but that was one that we all knew was going to be a good player because everyone had seen just how good he was and everyone wanted him to make that step up. So yeah, Michael Olise is one of them and João Neves is the other. There you go, a bit of European football for you. And then fitting, actually, we'll move on to the Serie A. The Serie A, by the way, if you haven't been keeping up with it, here's a little bit of a rundown for you. Inter Milan, top of the league. I think they're on 78 points or 79 points. Second in the league. Second in the league. First in the league, Napoli. There's 1 point separating them. But Napoli, we're talking Antonio Conte has gone there after last season where they didn't win the league because they won it the league the season before. Antonio Conte's come in and catapulted them straight back up the league. Incredible year from him. An incredible performance, but it was in Inter's hands. Inter were top until a couple of weeks ago, and they lost, I think it was to Bologna and Roma, back-to-back results, really poor, and Napoli just carried on. They beat Atalanta, and they were back into it, and it's got really exciting now because it is now it's now into Napoli's hands, and I've written down who they're playing next. Napoli have got to play, you ready for this? Here we go. Napoli have got to play Cagliari, who are towards the bottom of the league, and Parma, who can get relegated. Cagliari can't, so there's nothing there to suggest that's not too difficult a game. Parma, yes, they could get relegated, but again, they need the other teams below them to get the results they needed. And then Inter have got to play Como. Como have had an incredible season. A lot of eyes on Cesc Fabregas about he's been linked to the Bayer Leverkusen job, but it looks like he's staying. And they've had an incredible season. No one really expected them to stay up this season. I know they've got players like Pepe Reina there. They've got Belotti. They've got a lot of good players, but it's still done an incredible job. So it's not an easy game. I think they're around 10th mid-table. And they've also got Lazio. Lazio, who also are in a battle to get European football. So Inter have got the more difficult games and they're behind. So realistically, I think Napoli are going to win the league, but keep an eye out for it. This Sunday, the games are coming and it's going to be incredible. I will definitely be tuning in. I'm quite excited, actually, to be honest, because Sunday's football is going to be incredible because there's also another game that we'll talk about. There's my little Serie A title race. I think Napoli will win it, by the way. I don't think it's that controversial to suggest that. I just think kind of when you look at the games realistically, they've got the better fixtures. If you were to pick in isolation, regardless of who had got the form, regardless of who was ahead, you'd pick Napoli's games. And the fact that they're 1 point ahead, I can't see them dropping any points. And that's suggesting that Inter can stay on their form, because Inter have also dropped off, as I said. They went in, I think they hadn't scored in something ridiculous like 6 games before the Barcelona game. The form wasn't great. They lost to AC Milan as well in the Coppa Italia final. The form has been quite poor from Inter, and I feel like they're lucky with the fact that they got through in the Champions League, whereas people aren't questioning about the bottling. So there's a little bit of a controversy for you, but check out for that. But also on Sunday, we've got Arsenal versus Newcastle. If Newcastle beat Arsenal, Newcastle will go ahead of Arsenal. And going into this game, it looks like Declan Rice might be injured as well. Marino will be out. It's not looking good. I do really feel for Arsenal. They've had a lot of injury problems this season. So I'm intrigued to see as to what will happen in that game. Obviously, Joe Linton is out though, but I still do worry without a Declan Rice potentially, because that's not confirmed. I think I think they said hamstring trouble, so he may still play. But regardless, without Marino, I know Martinelli looked good up top in his performance against Liverpool, but he's not the greatest finisher, but he still can do a job up there. You look at it and just think, it's a real tough team to play. Newcastle are a team that you don't realistically want to be playing when you've got injuries, because they will just haunt and run and absolutely chase everyone down. You have no time on the ball. So if you're a player who hasn't been playing a lot of minutes or hasn't played a lot recently, you don't want to be playing against Newcastle, because they will find you out. They will be putting pressure on you from the get-go. I do think Newcastle are going to win this, and I think Newcastle are going to get into second spot, which seems I can't get my head around it. It's mental. Crazy. But yeah, incredible season, hasn't it, realistically? I know a lot of people saying this season and this Premier League season has been boring, but I think it's been incredible because there's been so many other storylines. Normally we don't see this many teams fighting for European football like we have done this year. It's been incredible. At one point, Bournemouth are in there, Fulham, we've had Chelsea, we've had Man City kind of coming in and out of it, we've had Newcastle, we've had Arsenal. It's just been incredible in that sense. It's been so many teams. Villa, it's been a great Premier League season in that sense. Yes, I know the title race and the relegation battle hasn't been great, but from that side of it, incredible. But there you go, Sunday's going to be great. Yeah, that's Arsenal Newcastle. Next question that was sent in by Isaac Coldfield. Thank you, Isaac, for sending the question. Oh my word, another bug stuck to my glasses. This is just like bug city over here. I don't really know why. There we go, we got rid of it there. Simple as that. See, as I always say, this is completely unfiltered. So actually, yeah, Isaac Coldfield said, my best 11 of team, if I could build one, of players I have seen live. Now, some people will know I've got, obviously, there'll be a lot of West Brom players here because I'm a West Bromwich Albion fan. And best goalkeeper I've seen live, Ben Foster, was incredible for the Albion. I know it's probably a little bit of an obvious one. But I was a West Brom season ticket holder for many years. But I'm going to talk about, rather than 11, I'm going to talk about standout players that I've been to see live. I've seen Neymar, I've seen Mbappe, and I've seen Messi live. I went to watch PSG play away at Lille a couple of years back when they had that front three, which was great. And the fact that I actually got to watch that was incredible because I've always wanted to watch them, and they were absolutely electric. They absolutely battered Lille. And what was interesting as well, it was Sven Botman at centre-back. And I remember thinking, he's a decent player. And then he moved to Newcastle and he's been absolutely incredible. I might just stand under the shade for a little bit, because the wind, just whilst it calms down. But I really like that front three. Those were great players that I got to see. Got to see Lukaku when he was on form. Zlatan Ibrahimovic, I remember coming to the Albion, was incredible. So I'm just talking about best players I've seen live here. And those are some of the real standouts for me. Those are some of the players where you looked at and I was just like, these guys are just different gravy. They're just another step above the rest, aren't they? We've all got those kind of players that we've seen. So let me know, you guys. You comment down below. What's the best player you've ever seen live? Those are some of my players, because I think I have to admit, those have been absolutely incredible. Look at that view, by the way. Look at that. Absolutely gorgeous. I'm going to give it a little thumbnail pose. You ready? Look, you're part of the thumbnail there. There we go. Look, thumbnail is done. There we go. See, look, guys, you're seeing everything. This is how it works. So, Isaac, thank you for the question, but I've kind of dodged the full 11. That should be a whole video in itself, because that'll be a long one. Next one was sent in by A. Chanara 2006. Sack Ruben Amorim or keep him? He wants to keep him. Now, it's a really weird one for me. I don't like Ruben Amorim. I did originally, but I also just think he's kind of just... He's getting a bit of a pass, I think, this season. Because I think, realistically, he's come in and everyone keeps going, give him a year, give him a year, give him a year. But why? He's been absolutely dreadful. And what really annoys me with football managers, and people may disagree with me with this, I always say I don't like a manager who comes in and says, I've got a certain way of playing and I'm going to keep playing this way if his team can't do it. I think that's a sign of, if he's a good enough manager like he supposedly is, he should be able to get at least some kind of tune out of his players. That's something I can't get my head around. And he's playing a system that doesn't work, doesn't suit to the team. But for some people go, it's brave, it's good to see. He's got a clear vision, he's got a clear dream. Why? I don't understand why this is a thing now in football. He should really tweak the system and at least get some results. They've been getting battered by absolutely everyone, bar the bottom three. And without Bruno Fernandes, and without the three teams being so bad, they could have genuinely been relegated this season. So I just kind of look at it as a whole and just think, it gets a bit of a pass for some reason, and it annoys me a bit because I'm still yet to see, realistically, bar the European form, anything to suggest that Ruben Amorim is a good manager. And people may think, Sam, that's really harsh, but that's just the way I look at it. I just look at it as a whole and just think, I don't get it. I don't really get this kind of project thing, that there's this weird thing in football now where you can't have short-term success. Chelsea are a prime example. In yesteryears, where they always got short-term success, they won trophies. What is it in football that these big clubs want? The big six should be only out to get trophies, not long-term projects. Who cares about long-term projects? Win trophies. And if Ruben Amorim wins this Europa League, then I'll say, do you know what, fair play, I got it wrong. But there's just this weird narrative with Ruben Amorim where for some reason, we've just written off a season as football fans and everyone's just allowed it. But for me, performances have been dreadful. I've seen absolutely nothing yet as to Man United improving whatsoever. They were better under Erik ten Hag, and people may disagree with me. I still stand by that at the minute. I just don't get it. I don't get how we can congratulate and look at a manager and think they're decent when a team has gone backwards and playing a system that doesn't suit any of the players. Maybe one or two. Do you know what I mean? That just sounds mental. In any other situation, if somebody came in as a manager, played a system that didn't suit the players, week in, week out, every football fan can see it doesn't work. We'd go, do you know what, actually? Yeah, we like this manager. He's doing a good job. It makes absolutely no sense. I don't get as to why anyone would think that's a good idea. Anyway, this is the thumbnail, actually. Look at that lighting. There we go. There you go. Look at that awkward thumbnail pose. You got to see it. There we go. But yeah, I just look at it as a whole and I don't get it. Any other place, you'd want the manager sacked. But for some reason, Man United have got this pass. And everyone's going, oh, give him time. He's going to cook something. What is this thing? Why are we giving managers time? This happened with Erik ten Hag. It's just quite clearly not working. Some people go, well, what do you suggest? Get a manager in that can go in and adapt. Like, get a manager who can go into a job and make the best of what they've got. Whereas they're going to do a massive overhaul. They're going to sell all their players, get rid of the deadwood, buy loads of new players in. And then in a year's time, we'll come back to this and I'll be right. And I'll be in the exact same situation. I just don't get it for me. It just does my head in sometimes with managers, especially when they've only got one system and only one way of playing. I think it's really odd that's really kind of congratulated and everyone goes, yeah, that's brilliant, that's what we want. It blows my mind. Anyway, next question is from Dan Jones. Will Frimpong be a good signing for Liverpool? Now, this is an interesting one because Frimpong this season has played as a right wing back throughout the season and even a right winger at times. I looked earlier, I watched a bit of Bayer Leverkusen. I'm not going to pretend and say I've watched them every single week. So I've kind of had to do a bit of research for this question and done a little bit of reading into it. It's an interesting one because he very rarely actually plays as a right back. So I think that's quite an alarming thing. But then at the same time, Liverpool do play very high with their fullbacks, but the fullbacks like to cut in and play into centre midfield rather than going down the line and playing as a winger. So yes, he's a great player, don't get me wrong. Will he suit the current system? No, but we've seen already with Arne Slot that he will get this team working. So I think regardless, I don't think it's actually the player. If the player is good enough, he's good enough, and he is quite clearly because he's doing it on the European scale, on the European stage. He's been doing it non-stop now for a couple of seasons. One of the biggest clubs in Europe. Bayer Leverkusen have been one of the biggest and one of the most in form over the last couple of years, and he's been a massive part of it. But you look at it and go, Arne Slot will get him sorted. They'll tweak the system, they'll adjust, and he'll suit just nicely. I think he'd be a great signing, but from everything I've read, I don't think he's the main target. I think he's available, and he's going to be like the one they go for at the end of the summer if they can't get in the replacement that they want. So who knows? I may be wrong, but I think it's a good signing. And don't be alarmed that he doesn't actually play as a right back in a back four system, because as we said, Arne Slot has been incredible for players this season. So I don't doubt that's a good coach. That's the difference. Amorim, somebody says we have to play this way. Arne Slot tinkered with the system and looked at the players, got in players like Gravenberch, made the system around players that weren't performing the last system and made the system suited to them. That's a sign of a good manager for me. That's what I can't get my head around. So there you go. That is that, Dan Jones. There you go. Next question. Where do I see West Bromwich Albion's future? Well, I'm a West Bromwich Albion fan if you haven't seen already with the shirt. So, it's going to be an interesting summer. I think this is going to be it's going to be big, let's be honest. There's a lot of rumours that Tom Fellows is going, looks like Hegam's going, Madger even. I think we're going to have to get used to this West Brom future, that we're going to become more a sustainable club. And I think it's going to take a long time. I think quite clearly for not FFP rules, for the rulings when it comes to money and things like that, it looks like West Bromwich Albion are going to have to become a selling club. Obviously, we were operating in a position because we had the parachute payments and we had the sustainability because we kept going back up to the Premier League, whereas now it's gone. Now those payments are gone. We're in a position now where we need to be sustainable as a club. So quite clearly, we're going to become a selling club, and we're going to have to keep trying to buy players and use the scouting system like we did with Hegem, and then slowly over time build a better squad, because we're not in the right position now to get promoted. The squad isn't good enough, wasn't good enough this season. We've seen that. So we're going to become one of those championship sides that are going to have a season like Bristol City did. We're going to sell all of our best players. That's what's going to happen. That's, as much as West Brom fans will hate to think that, I think that's realistically what's going to happen. Then over years, then we can build, progress, get in a better financial position, and then fully send it. But right now, we're not in a position where we can. We are going to become a selling club. So I'm intrigued as to where we are going to go to. But I do think that's where it will be. I think Manchester United. Sorry, I think West Bromwich Albion will become a side that will have to be in and around the playoffs year in, year out, but we'll have to keep selling and reinvesting. So yeah, very intrigued to see how the summer goes, but it's not looking good. I'm intrigued as to not looking good in the sense of I'm gutted to see some of the players go. And if Hegem goes, I think I'll probably cry, because I absolutely love the bloke. But yeah, very intrigued as to where we will go going forward. But again, it's exciting because it's a new era. It's a transition into a new West Bromwich Albion, because this is not the team we've seen for a while, and it's not the way the club's been run for quite a while. So intrigued as to how that goes. And if it can run sustainably, that's the main thing, because you want to be able to see your team. I don't want to see, because there was worries that we were going to get relegated and there was going to be hit with point deductions and things like that. But the new owners come in and made it sustainable. So quite clearly they know what they're doing. So we kind of just got to back them and just see as to where we can go going forward. Oh, wow, this sun is absolutely gorgeous. 24 degrees, a nice little breeze. Can't beat it, can you? Oh, there we go. I've knocked the camera again. This is a new gimbal, sorry guys. So hopefully I'm going to get more used to it as time goes on. So this is probably the worst time for you to be using. I probably should have gone for a practice walk, but can't be doing that. Just here with you guys. You've seen me even make the thumbnails. This is how it's going today. Okay then, shall we answer another question sent in by one of the listeners? Who is the best centre midfielder this decade? Now, this decade is, when you said this decade, it's 2020 onwards. So you can't be picking your Iniestas, you can't be picking your Xavis, your Busquets. There's going to be players like your N'Golo Kantés, but then N'Golo Kanté went a couple of years back, so I can't have N'Golo Kanté in that sense. Paul Pogba. not been seen. Those are the kind of players that we all thought he was going to be, but we've really, again, not seen them. So I'm going to go Modric or De Bruyne. Modric and De Bruyne for me are the two standouts, definitely in midfield. And I'm excited to see who it's going to be in the future, because we'll see your likes of your Pedris, your Valverdes, your Declan Rices. Players like that going forward are the ones that I'm quite excited to see. But I think realistically, who's been most consistent from 2020 onwards? Probably Modric, you know. Modric has been kind of one of the main men who's been there consistently. Or De Bruyne, yeah. But then you've got your Pedris and players like that. So I'm excited to see as this goes on. So that's my opinion now. The question, was sent in by Real Sen Z, the one who sent in the question earlier. That's it for now, but I feel like it will change in a couple of years because it's still quite early. We're only just in 2025. So we're only halfway through the decade. So yeah, there it is for now. Cruz could have been up there, but obviously he's retired. So it's a weird time. There's a big transition with the new generation of footballers and things like that. So I'm excited to see who it will be in the future. But at the minute, it is going to be your Pedris, your Bellinghams, your players like that. That's what I'm thinking at the minute. But again, as I said, McAllister, players like that. But it's too early to call. But those are all my players that I'd throw in the hat. Bruno Guimaraes, Tonali's, your players like that. There's got so many that I could talk about. But there's none real. Rodri as well, obviously, but he's injured, so I just completely forgot about him. Rodri's definitely up there. Probably Rodri number one, actually. Consistently done it now for a few years. But there you go. It's probably a little bit too early, if I'm honest. But you never know. Who knows? Any promoted teams to stay up? Sent in by Josh Horsfield. Thank you, Josh. Oh, there's a big ditch there. Nearly just completely broke my ankle. And then we'll answer the other question as well, sent in by Hammer VR12. Hammers, sorry, 1-2 sent in the question of who's getting promoted next season, because we can kind of do those two together. Those were both sent in through YouTube, and those are the last questions we'll be answering, and this is the final bit of talking that we'll be doing on this episode of Football Rambling. And as I said, if you haven't already, please do smash that like button and please do subscribe. Will the promoted team stay up? Let's just presume either it's going to be obviously Sunderland or Sheffield United in the playoffs. I can't see either of those, especially Sheffield United. I think Sunderland will struggle more than Sheffield United, but I look at Sheffield United, I just don't think they're blessed in the sense of we saw they kind of tailed off. They're not suited. Now, Burnley are in a good position in the sense of they've got a manager who doesn't allow them to concede. And if Burnley play the way they've played this season, I think they've got the best chance. I don't think Leeds, I don't think Daniel Farke is a manager who is built for the Premier League. And I know there's a lot of discussion as to will they sack him. There's a lot of people saying I think they should do, because he's time and time again proved that he's not cut out for the Premier League. He's made it difficult sometimes in the Championship, obviously the way they bottled it the previous year. But they had an incredible year this year. But I don't think they're suited to the Premier League, especially with the way they're playing. Whereas Burnley, I think, are more suited. They defensively look a lot more stronger. And I think that's probably a big part. I think realistically we're going to see now, this next season coming, the clubs are going to be looking at what's happened to Ipswich, look what's happened to Southampton, to Luton last year, to Ipswich, to all the teams that have tried to come out and play. I think someone's got to come up and just be defensively strong. And I think Scott Parker's team are probably the most suited to that. So I think Scott Parker's team are probably the most suited to staying up in the Premier League. Do I believe they will? Probably not. But I feel like they've got the best chance. Maybe I might seem ridiculous, and we can come back to this. And obviously, we've still got a whole transfer window to go yet, so there's a lot still that could change. But I look at it as a whole and think Burnley have probably got the best attributes, especially with how defensively strong they've been, with probably the best goalkeeper in the Championship and things. So arguably they could. Do I believe they will? Probably not, but they are the most suited. So I don't realistically think anyone will stay up next season, if I'm honest. I think we're gonna see another season of 3 clubs getting relegated. I just can't see any of the other teams kind of getting dragged into it. That's another thing as well, because you think about it, it's Man United and Tottenham. Man United and Tottenham aren't going to be 16th and 17th next season. That's not going to happen again. That can't happen again. And it may do, who knows, but I just can't see it happening again. So I look at it from that sense and just think, who then is going to fall down? And that's why I can't see. So yeah, I think Burnley are probably the most suited. Do I think they will? Probably not. Now, who's going to get promoted next season? Now, people are going to find this boring now. I think Ipswich have probably got the best squad coming down. Realistically, I think Ipswich have, if they can keep hold of some of the players that they've got, like your Amorim Hutchinsons and players like that, Leif Davis will be incredible again in the Championship. I think Ipswich will go straight back up because they'll keep their manager. I can't see McKenna being... I think McKenna's kind of stocks have dropped a little bit, so I do think they'll stay up. They'll come straight back up, sorry. Southampton, not convinced, and I'm still intrigued as to who they'll get as their manager, so I don't think Southampton will go straight back up. I think they'll make the playoffs. I think they'll be in and around there. It just doesn't... Yeah, I just don't know. It just doesn't feel right at the minute. I'm looking at it as a whole and thinking, Can I see Southampton doing it? But then Southampton in the Championship is a cheat code when they'll have players like Armstrong back. Yes, I know he didn't perform for my team, West Brom. They've got Flynn Downs. They'll have a good squad. But I just think the manager situation now is the reason as to why I think they've probably got one of the better squads. But until they appoint a manager, I will then decide. So I'm going to say no for now, and I think they'll make the playoffs. I just look at it as a whole and just think, can I? I'm just trying to think now. I'm not trying to think, looking at the squad, that how well they did last time. But it's just, it's the fact they haven't got a manager that doesn't sit right with me. Leicester, though. Leicester are another weird one. Leicester have also got a very good squad. And I can't imagine they're going to sell many of their players. Yes, I know they'll lose somebody like Jamie Vardy, but if they can get a good striker in, I think Leicester will be, again, fine. Because you look at it, no one's going to be coming in for your Ollie Skip. No one's going to be coming in for your likes of Harry Winks. Those players, again, will be incredible in the Championship. Those are the better players. Leicester, realistically, I think did a really poor job. I think, looking at the squad, I think they massively underperformed. I think when you look back at the start of the season when they had Steve Cooper, they were in and around. They were actually competing. So I think Leicester and Ipswich will go straight back up. And then I think the next spot could be anyone's. Could it be Coventry with Frank Lampard having a full season? Potentially, that could easily happen. I don't think my team, West Bromwich Albion, will be in there. Can't see Bristol being in there. Sunderland will be fighting, but again, I'm not fully convinced by Sunderland. They've got a lot of youth players that I think will get snapped up personally. That's me saying, by the way, I think Sheffield United will go straight up in their playoff final. So probably I think it will be Leicester and Ipswich going straight back up, and then I think Southampton will be in the playoffs. So there you go. That is my predictions, and that is it for Football Rambling. Hopefully you've enjoyed this video. I'll be doing one of these every single week, hopefully, or every other week, or maybe 2 in 1 week, especially when the weather's like this, where I just go on my walks. As you've just seen, 37 minutes of unfiltered football talk, where it's just me and you guys, and we're building a lovely community here. If you haven't already, please do smash the like button and please do subscribe. I do this full time now. We're pushing towards 10,000 subscribers, which is incredible. The TikToks are flying. Go check those out as well. I put out 3 shorts every single day, which is good. And hopefully you enjoy those. So yeah, we're grinding. We're going to be putting lots more long form content out. There's been a massive influx of videos coming on the channel. Hopefully you've seen that recently. Really stepped up the amount of posts. Oh, and of course the wind, just as I'm talking to you guys. So yeah, hopefully you're appreciating it. And I'm still always going to reply to every single comment like I always say I do. And I have actually been doing that. So hopefully you appreciate that. And yeah, it's a big year still to come. And I'm excited. There's going to be lots of pre-season talk. I'm really excited for pre-season. We're going to be going through, talking about all the transfer links, absolutely everything. So these walks will be loads more interesting. But hopefully you guys have a great weekend, or whenever you're watching this, because I don't know when this video is going out, because these videos always take ages to upload. But yeah, hopefully you guys have a splendid week and enjoy. And hopefully all of your teams win, unless they're playing against the Albion. Comment down below your predictions as well for the Serie A, the Newcastle game, who's in at Champions League football, where everyone's going to place, because there's still lots to play for. Yeah, very exciting. And comment your playoff final predictions. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you very soon. Stay safe. Peace.